Breaking news today. Assaults on immigration officers have surged dramatically, with federal agents experiencing an 830% increase in attacks. Is this uptick a result of irresponsible statements from Democratic leaders, or are there undisclosed factors that both parties are keeping from the public?
Hello, and welcome to That News Show, where we discuss the latest facts, fakes, and hypocrisy as reported by the legacy media. Let's roll the tape.
Fox News reports that Tom Homan has commented on the impact of what he describes as the Democrats' hateful rhetoric. Tonight, we confront a stark reality ignored by mainstream media. Assaults against federal immigration officers have surged by 830% since January. This spike coincides with years of demonization by Democratic leaders from Chicago to Los Angeles, who have labeled these law enforcers as Nazis and terrorists. Unsurprisingly, such inflammatory words have been followed by violence. Is this the definition of justice, or is it a deliberate attempt by some within the political class to weaken American sovereignty for global accolades? When will leaders in Washington from either party stand up to defend the individuals dedicated to our nation's safety? Let's see what we've got here.
ICE fired right back with this. Mayor Bass, our officers wear masks because rhetoric like yours has ramped up threats and assaults against their families. They're doing their job and detaining illegal aliens who broke immigration law. Enough of the fear-mongering for political attention. DHS reports assaults on ICE agents are up 830% from a year ago. And just this week, an illegal alien from Honduras dragged an ICE agent for nearly a block, dragging him on the ground with a car as he tried to escape custody in Oklahoma. And this is some of the injury to that ICE agent.
When our immigration officers wear masks, it's not for intimidation or secrecy. It's a necessary measure against real threats to their safety and that of their families. The Department of Homeland Security reports an 830% increase in assaults on ICE agents compared to last year, a statistic too significant to ignore. This surge is fueled by dangerous rhetoric from some Democratic officials who have irresponsibly compared these agents to Nazis and terrorists. Recently in Oklahoma, a Honduran national seriously injured an ICE agent by dragging him nearly a block with his car. Incidents like this escalate when local politicians, such as the mayor of Los Angeles, hinder federal operations, demand the removal of ICE agents from public spaces, and even attempt to expose their identities through Freedom of Information Act requests. Such actions not only undermine federal law, but also endanger the agents and embolden criminals, compromising community safety. It's important to clarify that ICE agents primarily target individuals with criminal convictions. Nearly 70% of those arrested in recent operations fall into this category. They are not indiscriminately targeting families or children, contrary to the narrative some on the left have promoted for political gain. While both parties contribute to the toxic political climate, it is particularly the open hostility and sanctuary policies of some Democrats that worsen the situation, fostering an environment ripe for violence against law enforcement. These policies do not protect American citizens or secure our borders, but rather prioritize the interests of illegal immigrants over national safety. This issue goes beyond politics. It's about national sovereignty and the safety of our citizens. We must reject globalist, open border ideologies that compromise our nation's security. The men and women of ICE are dedicated patriots, risking their lives daily to ensure our communities are safe. They deserve our support and respect.
You're right, and you're right in your statement that this rhetoric is causing this hateful response to ICE. Comparing ICE to Nazis and racists and terrorist organizations. And I said 2 months ago, Harris, that if this rhetoric didn't stop, there would be bloodshed. Of course,
the increase in violence against ICE officers can be directly linked to irresponsible political rhetoric and the policies of sanctuary cities. These policies not only defy federal law, but also jeopardize the safety of those responsible for our community's security. When leaders in cities like Chicago and Los Angeles hinder ICE operations, fail to collaborate with federal authorities, or even expose agents' identities, they send a perilous signal that emboldens criminals. The Department of Homeland Security reports a staggering 830% rise in assaults on ICE agents, a stark indicator of the hostile environment these policies create. The nature of these attacks is organized and tactical, not merely random acts of violence. We've seen armed ambushes at Texas detention centers, agents dragged by vehicles in Oklahoma, and officers in California attacked with rocks and firearms. These coordinated attacks stem from a political climate that, alarmingly, some officials worsened by likening ICE to historical villains. The situation escalated when a Congress member exposed an ICE agent's identity to a hostile crowd, leading to the agent's hospitalization. This act blurred the lines between political expression and dangerous incitement. Despite these adversities, ICE's mission remains just and lawful: to detain convicted criminals, national security threats, and individuals with final deportation orders. Contrary to some narratives, ICE does not indiscriminately target families. Nearly 70% of those detained recently have criminal records. The use of safety measures like masks is not for intimidation, but to protect agents and their families from threats and exposure. The toxic political climate is fueled by both parties, but the open hostility and sanctuary policies of some Democrats have escalated the situation dangerously. These policies compromise national sovereignty and prioritize the interests of illegal immigrants over community safety. This issue goes beyond mere policy debate. It questions our commitment to uphold the rule of law and protect those who enforce it. The Trump administration's stance against globalist open border ideologies is justified. Americans deserve secure borders and safe communities, not political maneuvers that endanger law enforcement officers. Continuing on this path will only worsen the consequences, affecting ordinary Americans the most.
President Trump committed from day one, on top of the mass deportation, having the most secure border in history of this nation. President Trump also instructed us, go find these kids. Because we know some of these kids are in forced labor. We know some of these kids are in forced sex trafficking, and we found some, unfortunately, in those conditions. We found many with their families. But we're going to find every one of these children and make sure they're safe. And, we'll deal with the immigration consequences down the road, but the first and the priority of these children is rescuing those that are in forced labor and forced trafficking, making sure they're safe.
The administration's commitment to rescuing children from forced labor and trafficking underscores its priorities: security and human decency. This approach starkly contrasts with the previous administration's failures, where hundreds of thousands of minors were lost in a flawed system. Previously, over 300,000 unaccompanied children missed court dates or were never properly notified, leaving them vulnerable to exploitation. Now, the focus is on proactive measures, locating and rescuing these children from perilous situations and ensuring their safety before addressing immigration consequences. Fox News effectively highlights the humanitarian crisis exacerbated by open border policies, showing that the administration's enforcement aims to restore order and protect children from severe abuse. The segment uses concrete data, such as the decrease in border apprehensions and the number of children rescued, and enriches the narrative with on-the-ground reporting and interviews with law enforcement, emphasizing the urgency and moral imperative of these issues. Fox News could improve by addressing the broader systemic issues that perpetuate trafficking networks rather than focusing solely on partisan criticism. Including expert analysis on past policy failures and the complexities of dismantling trafficking networks would offer a more balanced perspective. Visually, the network uses interesting footage and interviews with ICE agents effectively, underscoring the gravity of the situation. This sometimes comes at the expense of deeper policy analysis, such as the implications of military support at the border and new legal challenges for asylum seekers. More transparency regarding these legal and humanitarian aspects would enhance the segment's credibility and address claims of bias. Ultimately, the administration's strategy of deploying military resources, increasing deportations of criminals, and prioritizing the safety of trafficked children is a testament to its promise of securing the border more effectively than ever before. This approach clearly counters the globalist open border ideologies that have empowered cartels and put vulnerable populations at risk, marking a significant shift from previous policies and emphasizing a commitment to accountability and decisive action.
And let's remember, they're moms and dads too. They don't hang their heart on a hook every day they come to work. They see terrible, terrible things they take home to them every day. They have issues too. They're seeing the most terrible of human nature out there, but they're dealing with every day making those countries safe.
The economic impact of this crisis extends beyond border security. It directly affects the stability of American families and the health of our communities. When ICE agents operate under siege, with an 830% increase in assaults over the last year, the repercussions are profound. The costs go beyond medical expenses and include lost productivity, higher insurance premiums, and increased strain on local law enforcement and emergency services. These resources, which should be bolstering our neighborhoods, are instead diverted due to the political posturing of sanctuary cities. Consider the ripple effects on household finances. Stretched local budgets needed to manage the fallout from violent protests and provide additional security for federal officers, divert funds from schools, infrastructure, and property tax relief. Small business owners, particularly in border states, face soaring insurance costs as organized crime, and trafficking networks exploit policy-induced chaos. The hospitality and agriculture sectors, already struggling with inflation and labor shortages, face further uncertainty as law enforcement resources are redirected. Imagine an infographic. On one side, the direct costs like medical care for injured officers, overtime, and legal fees. On the other, the indirect costs like higher insurance premiums, lost workdays, and the deterrent effect on community investments. These costs compound over time, burdening working families and hindering local economic recovery. From a law enforcement perspective, morale is critically low. Officers who confront severe crimes daily return home bearing deep emotional and psychological wounds. They're not just officers, they are parents, spouses, and neighbors, witnessing the repercussions of ineffective policies and political grandstanding. When cities like Chicago and Los Angeles obstruct federal operations and compromise the safety of officers, they prioritize political points over public safety. The private sector also feels the impact. Insurance companies facing increased risks hike premiums affecting everyone. Or tailors and service providers in communities affected by sanctuary policies report decreased foot traffic and sales as people opt for safer shopping and working environments. Even the real estate market suffers, with property values stagnating in areas where law enforcement is compromised and criminal activity is rampant. ICE agents do more than enforce laws. They maintain order against the chaos that globalist, open-border ideologies threaten to unleash. Despite the media and some politicians distorting the facts, the majority of those targeted in recent operations have criminal convictions. The previous administration's failure to protect vulnerable children in a flawed system was a grave oversight. The current administration's focus on rescuing these children and dismantling trafficking networks is not only a moral imperative but an economic one, reducing future burdens on our schools, hospitals, and social services. In conclusion, undermining the rule of law and vilifying those who uphold it creates a costly environment for families, businesses, and communities. The real beneficiaries are traffickers, gangs, and political elites who thrive in chaos, leaving everyday Americans to bear the consequences. Well, there you have it. We are witnessing the consequences of reckless rhetoric and failed policies unfold in real time. The previous administration, led by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, opened our borders, undermined law enforcement, and fueled division, only to be surprised when chaos ensued. While both parties speak of unity, only one, under President Trump, is actively restoring order and prioritizing Americans. The truth is, globalist elites and their media allies want to keep you distracted, angry, and powerless. Ask yourself who benefits from this disorder. Certainly not you. It's time to demand accountability and defend the country we love, because if we don't, no one else will. We look forward to reading your comments. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. We will see you on the next one.